that's not keeping Drew Stanton from keeping busy. As we understand, he's at a benefit right now in West Michigan. And then, of course, his event will be at College Fields Golf Club in the Lansing area June 11th for the Stanton Foundation. And if you're interested, we're going to find out how to get involved right now because he's nice enough to join us on the other end of our line. Drew Stanton, good morning to you.
Morning.
Playing for the Lions, played for Michigan State. Did you ever trade merchandise for tattoos?
No, that my body's ink-free, and I don't think that was on the cards at Michigan State ever.
No, I can't imagine why someone would want a tattoo. I faint when they do a blood draw from me, let alone needles and drawings and inks and all. Did you ever see anything like that? Have you ever heard of anything as outrageous maybe as what is going on at Ohio State?
No, it's unfortunate, too, because it's been a program with a lot of pride and tradition, obviously, in the past, and, it's going to put a blemish on that because there's a lot of guys that put in a lot of hard work, and, it's going to put a black eye on that program for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's bad for the Big Ten, don't you think? I mean, this was the year when we were going to have the championship game. We were going to have Nebraska. Everything was coming up roses. There was a new coach at Michigan that might make things a little more competitive. And all of a sudden, this seems like this is going to be the story of the season when it comes to Big Ten football because you're going to have an interim coach and you're going to have Terrell Pryor, who may never even play another down at Ohio State.
Yeah, it's very interesting because there was so much, there's so much to be made of this new league, like you were saying, and everybody's excited about it. And unfortunately, that's what the majority of the talk is going to be about until it gets resolved. And it is sad because a few people are messing up a great conference and holding back from, great things to come.
Did you have to be extra careful when you were a college athlete? I mean, you grew up in the East Lansing area, born in Okemos. You knew a lot of people. Was it difficult to comply with the NCAA rules? Because they seem sometimes to be a little hazy.
Yeah, I think the big thing is you just have to ask questions, and they made that apparent from day one that, nobody knows all the rules, probably the people that even wrote them, because the book's so thick that they don't even know what they are sometimes. So that's why you have to go through compliance and ask questions. There was instances that you were allowed to have dinner occasionally with different people or boosters that they could pay for dinner, but it was only on a rare basis, and it had to be for a fundraiser or different things like that. So you definitely had to walk a tightrope with dealing with those type of issues, and obviously the other things that were completely out of line as taking gifts and such not.
I thought MSU trustee Joel Ferguson is quoted in the paper this morning as saying he's not worried that Coach D'Antonio would go to Ohio State because he considers it a less than lateral move. that sounds like Joel. That sounds like Joel. But do you think that Coach D'Antonio might be interested in that Ohio State job?
I think that's what people have said in the past, or what I've heard, is that the only job that he would take would possibly be
the Buckeye job, because he's got a little bit of history there.
Exactly. I think he has such a great thing going to Michigan State, and he's helped build that program back up to where he wants it to be. That I don't see him making that lateral move because, it just doesn't make sense to move into the Big Ten. Plus, they're going to have to deal with a lot of allegations and deal with all this stuff. Who knows what the penalties they're going to have to deal with. And, like I said, he's done a great thing in the state of Michigan and getting back to recruiting guys in Michigan. And there's a lot of pride throughout the whole entire United States as far as Michigan State, as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, we got the Spartan Nation going here, and you were a big part of that, a big part of the turnaround with Coach D'Antonio. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you played in the bowl game against Matthew Stafford, didn't you, when he was at Georgia?
No, that was Hoyer. I'm an old timer now. I've been going 5 years.
But now you're playing with Matthew Stafford, and I understand. I was with him a week or so, maybe it was 2 weeks ago in Grand Rapids at an event, and he said, I gotta get out of here because I gotta get back to Detroit because they were gonna have the first of those little sort of informal Lions practices. You were there. What were those like? Was it a little weird having your own NFL practice?
It was unique. I think that'd be the best way to describe it because it's not often you get a chance to get together as an entire offense and go over plays and do stuff and try and structure yourself without having the coaches out there and without having film out there and all these things that you can go back and do. But I think just the ability for us to get out there and run through some plays and hear the verbiage and be around the guys and get some timing down within the route running and the run game and all this stuff, I think it definitely helped us. It kind of shook the cobwebs out a little bit, and we're planning on doing it again next week.
Who runs the practice?
No, I think it's just obviously Kyle Vanden Bosch kind of takes over for the defensive side, and then Dominic Raiola kind of dictates what the offensive line's doing, and then we are, kind of set up the way that we would do a practice anyways as quarterbacks, and Matthew kind of leads that as we go through routes on there with the wide receivers, and then we do some different stuff, 7-on-7 type of things, and then run plays on air, and then come together as an entire offense.
Um, have you ever played the Madden game on Xbox as yourself?
I play a little bit. I haven't played Madden in a long time. That game kind of frustrates me just because you can't do the things that you necessarily want to do just because you're hitting a button. And I don't necessarily have the success that I want to have. So, especially with if a 13-year-old kid can outsmart me or do things on a football field, it can be frustrating at times.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think frustrating, too, when you hear the impasse between the NFL owners and labor. I mean, nobody wants to play more than you and Matthew Stafford and the rest of the Lions. You must be – I mean, is that your sentiment right now? Come on, guys, get this done, because pretty soon you're going to stop getting paid, right?
Yeah, I think it is really frustrating to that extent. Not necessarily the money factor, just the fact that we're not doing anything right now. We're used to being in camp or doing stuff. We'd only have about a month left in our off-season program, and then we'd have July off. So, I think that what lies ahead of the uncertainty of that is frustrating because nobody knows how far apart we truly are. Even as players, we get updates and we hear what's going on, but truly we don't know where the owners are. And, the sad part is there's only a small percentage of owners and a small percentage of players that are so stubborn that they don't want to really try and get something hashed out, where the majority of us just want something to get resolved. We know somebody's going to have to give ground somewhere. It's just a matter of, from what I understand, after the June 3rd hearing with the 8th Circuit Court, that leverage is gained, and that's when the pieces can start falling into place.
When people keep saying to me, don't worry about it, there'll be a season, there's too much money for there not to be a season. Does that comfort you?
It's comforting, but the more and more this drags on, the more scared I become because, and I think the money factor is huge, but I think also the reputation of the NFL is at stake. You don't want to lose these fans we've fought so hard to get, and I'm fully side with the fans. I mean, they put their blood, sweat, and tears Sundays to watch their team play, and they deserve the best product out on the field. And all of these shenanigans, I guess you could say, that are going on right now, they have no idea either, and it's frustrating for many different people because we just want to get something resolved, and there's nothing in the immediate future that tells us it's going to be that way.
Yikes. We will continue in the immediate future in just 2 minutes with Drew Stanton. He's the hometown boy done good playing for the Detroit Lions. Of course, played for Michigan State here in the East Lansing area and grew up in Okemos. What could be better than keeping him right here in Michigan, getting back on the field at Ford Field? We're back in 3 minutes. Find out how you can get involved in his golf event. Stay tuned.